Chosen ones, this will go to court. Chosen one, hear these words not with your ears, but with your spirit. Something has been unfolding behind the veil, a process that no human eye could fully see, until now. There is a case forming in the invisible realm, and your name is on the file. This is not a metaphor. This is not just energy. This is divine law moving through spiritual courtrooms, preparing to manifest in physical reality. You have been observed, weighed, tested, and refined. What was once stolen from you is now being reviewed by higher authority. The verdict is being written in light, and the outcome will alter everything you thought you lost. For so long, you have walked this earth wondering why injustice went unchecked. You have cried silent tears while those who wronged you thrived. You have asked, "Where is the balance? Where is the retribution?" You have looked at the sky, feeling as though heaven stayed silent. But silence is not absence. Silence is investigation. While you thought nothing was happening, the spiritual court was collecting evidence. Every sleepless night, every betrayal, every moment of despair was recorded as testimony. Every time you forgave and tried to move on, the universe took note. Every time you refused to retaliate, your restraint became evidence of your purity. Every act of integrity you made under pressure was entered into your divine file. Now, the courtroom of heaven is in session. The prosecutor is the truth itself. The witnesses are your ancestors, your guides, your protectors, who saw every hidden act done against you. The defendant, those who took what was yours, those who misused your name, those who tried to bury your light under their shadow, they are now being summoned. The judge is divine order, unshakable, incorruptible, and absolute. The scales of cosmic justice are being recalibrated, and the weight is shifting. You may not see the gavel fall yet, but you can feel the vibration in your spirit, that knowing that something is being settled once and for all. There is a court date in the unseen world, and you have been summoned not as the accused but as the vindicated. Your presence is requested because your silence has been your testimony, your endurance your evidence. You have already presented your case through your actions. When you chose peace over revenge, you entered Exhibit A. When you chose to rebuild your life rather than destroy theirs, you filed Exhibit B. When you prayed instead of cursed, when you loved instead of hated, when you kept moving despite the sabotage, every one of those moments was documented. And now, those documents are being read aloud in the courtroom of the Most High. You are not being forgotten. You are being prepared for compensation. The universe compensates energy the same way law compensates labor, with proof, with order, and with time. You were never meant to be the one chasing justice. Justice was designed to chase you. The delay wasn't denial. It was divine calculation. Every day you waited, interest was building. Every time you stayed quiet, spiritual attorneys were stacking evidence. Every time you chose integrity while others chose deceit, the case for your restoration grew stronger. Now the verdict is coming due, and repayment will not be symbolic, it will be substantial. Chosen one, your suffering was not wasted. Every unfair treatment became the foundation for your divine claim. Every stolen opportunity became currency in your favor. The universe has a precise accounting system. Nothing that was taken, whether energy, reputation, ideas, or opportunities, goes unrecorded. And now, those records are being opened. The files that have been sealed for seasons are being reviewed line by line. This is why you've been feeling shifts, in your sleep, in your emotions, in your energy. The gavel is moving closer to the strike. You may notice people from your past suddenly reappearing, not out of love, but out of spiritual panic. The energy knows when judgment is near. Those who once used your light for their gain can feel that the current is reversing. Their comfort was borrowed time. Their stability was built on divine credit. Now the bill has arrived. They are restless, anxious, sensing that the flow of fortune is shifting hands. Do not let their sudden interest in you confuse you. They are not here for reconciliation. They are being summoned as witnesses against themselves. The universe works through laws, spiritual and physical, and the two are about to merge. As above, so below, is not just poetry, it's procedure. The spiritual court's ruling must manifest in material form. What's been decreed in heaven will soon echo through the human world: contracts, settlements, opportunities, doors that were once closed suddenly opening in your favor. Legal systems, organizations, and people in power will unknowingly become instruments of divine execution. They will feel compelled to correct what was wrong, to reward what was overlooked, to redistribute what was unfairly held. This is divine enforcement through earthly channels. But understand this: before manifestation, there is revelation. You will see hidden truths come out. People who wronged you in secret will be exposed in daylight. Files will surface, records will appear, and what was once rumor will become proof. This is not to humiliate anyone, it is to restore divine balance. When lies are revealed, truth can take its rightful place. When masks fall, authenticity reigns. You are entering that phase now, the unveiling before the verdict. Stay calm. Stay still. Don't react. The courtroom of heaven is handling it. This is why your spirit has been so restless. You've felt like something was being decided somewhere beyond your awareness, because it was. You have sensed that invisible hands were moving on your behalf, because they are. Every divine attorney assigned to your case has presented closing arguments. Every false witness has been exposed. Every piece of stolen energy has been traced. And now, the judge is preparing to render a final decision. The decree will be clear. Restitution with interest. When it hits the physical realm, it may come as financial compensation, unexpected success, or restored relationships. It may come as sudden recognition for what you once did quietly. It may even come as opportunities you thought you'd miss forever. Whatever form it takes, it will correct the imbalance that has existed for far too long. You will not have to chase it, it will arrive, because the court has ruled in your favor. There is no corruption in divine law. There are no loopholes, no favoritism, no deceit. The spiritual court doesn't negotiate with ego. It responds to truth. That's why your humility mattered. That's why your silence was powerful. The judge only rules in favor of those who kept faith when injustice was loud. You stayed pure, and now purity is your passport to divine recompense. You stayed kind when others mocked your goodness, and now kindness has become your legal defense. This moment is sacred, chosen one. The gavel is rising. The angels are on record. The universe has reviewed the case, and it finds you innocent, not of imperfection, but of intention. Your heart was never malicious. Your motives were never corrupt. You loved purely, gave generously, created authentically, and suffered unjustly. That combination has written your redemption decree. So stand still. The case is almost closed. You are about to receive communication in your reality that mirrors what's been decided above. It might come through people, through papers, through systems, through sudden favor. It will seem almost surreal, like watching prophecy turn into paperwork. But it's real. Divine rulings always manifest in the physical. That's how balance is maintained across realms. And when it happens, you will remember this moment. You will realize that all those times you questioned whether heaven heard you, it did. It just wasn't speaking yet. You will remember how long you walked in darkness, not knowing that files were being reviewed in light. You will see that every silent prayer, every exhausted night, every lonely hour was part of your testimony. Chosen one, prepare yourself not for revenge, but for restoration. This courtroom isn't about punishing them, it's about rewarding you. Justice and divine order isn't rooted in pain, it's rooted in purpose. You had to experience what you did so you could handle what's coming next with integrity. You had to see corruption so you could lead with fairness. You had to lose what was yours so you could receive it multiplied. The verdict will not just restore balance, it will promote you. Because when the universe compensates a chosen one, it doesn't return what was lost at equal value. It returns it at multiplied energy. Every stolen dollar becomes abundance. Every broken opportunity becomes a destiny doorway. Every betrayal becomes fuel for expansion. Every false accusation becomes a certificate of authenticity. You are not just being vindicated, you are being crowned. And when the judgment is released, you'll feel it in your spirit before you see it in your account. You'll wake up lighter. The heaviness will lift. You'll sense peace replacing pressure. That's the sign the paperwork in heaven has been stamped complete. From that point on, your only responsibility will be gratitude. Gratitude is how you sign for what's delivered. So stand tall. Straighten your spine. Breathe deeply. The universe is aligning your compensation. The gavel is descending. The sound that will echo through your life is the sound of closure. This is not the end. This is the beginning of rightful ownership. You will not have to fight for what's yours anymore. Divine order has ruled in your favor. The records are sealed. The case is closed. And when it manifests in the physical, don't be surprised if the world calls it luck. They won't understand the courtrooms you've stood in, the spiritual hearings you've survived, or the divine attorneys who argued for your destiny. They will see the abundance but not the evidence. But you'll know. You'll remember this moment, the prophetic whisper that told you, "Chosen one, this will go to court. And heaven has already ruled in your favor. Someone took what was yours, not just your ideas or energy, but actual value that became their wealth while you struggled. Chosen one, you have felt the sting of this truth in your bones long before these words ever reached your ears. You sensed that something wasn't adding up, that no matter how much effort, how much sincerity, how much divine inspiration you poured into the world, the rewards seemed to bypass you. You've watched others thrive off patterns that looked eerily familiar, off words that echoed your own, off energy that felt unmistakably yours. They stood beneath lights that were lit by your essence, speaking with the rhythm of your heartbeat, basking in the recognition that was divinely stamped for your soul. This was no accident. Someone took what belonged to you, not by coincidence, but by design. They saw your light and recognized what you carried before you even knew the power of your own brilliance. They watched you pour out creativity, authenticity, healing, and truth, and rather than honor it, they harvested it. They extracted your essence and repackaged it under their name, their image, their brand. They took the blueprint heaven had whispered to you and built their empire on it. They turned your pain into their profit, your wisdom into their wealth, your innovation into their identity. You must understand, when someone steals from a chosen one, it's not just theft. It's spiritual embezzlement. It's robbery against destiny itself. The universe keeps meticulous records of energy exchanges, and no blessing that was stolen ever remains stable. You may have watched them prosper for a time, but what you didn't see was the invisible debt accumulating behind their success. They were living off borrowed glory, your glory, and every moment of ease they experienced came with spiritual interest they could never afford to pay. You saw them celebrated. You heard your own words echoing from their mouths. You saw your ideas dressed in their clothing. And you asked yourself, was I too generous? Too trusting? Too naive? But no, chosen one, you were simply operating from purity in a world that feeds on imitation. You shared your light freely because that's what light does. It shines without expectation. You didn't lose because you gave, they lost because they took. Every ounce of energy they extracted from you came with an expiration date. And that date has arrived. There was a time when your spirit felt exhausted, as if your vitality was leaking into the void. You tried to fix it through rest, through prayer, through isolation, not realizing that someone had created a spiritual siphon attached to your frequency. They wore your mannerisms, your tone, your healing language. They mimicked your art, your wisdom, even your story. They positioned themselves as the authority in what you were born to embody. But you cannot steal divine frequency forever. You can copy a look, but you cannot replicate essence. The vibration of authenticity eventually exposes every counterfeit. While they built their castles with the materials of your soul, you were left questioning your worth, wondering why your path seemed to delay. You saw them getting what you prayed for, and part of you ached, not from envy, but from injustice. Because deep down, you knew something sacred had been violated. You knew that the wealth they paraded wasn't earned in integrity. It was energy they collected by standing in a light that wasn't theirs. And so, heaven intervened. The spiritual court took notice. Files were opened. Investigations began. Because when you are a chosen one, your gifts aren't just talents. They're divine assets tied to your soul contract. And anyone who misuses or misappropriates them commits an offense not just against you, but against divine law. They didn't realize they weren't just stealing your ideas. They were stealing your assignments, your calling, your generational blessings. But you cannot hijack a destiny without consequence. This is why you've been feeling shifts recently, in your finances, in your dreams, in your intuition. The energy that was taken is returning. What was once inverted is rebalancing. The wealth that was siphoned through deceit is rerouting back to its rightful owner. The karmic accounts are being audited, and restitution is being prepared. It won't come from the same hands that stole from you. It will come through divine redistribution. The universe doesn't need them to return it voluntarily. It reclaims it through divine mechanisms, sudden collapses, unexpected reversals, inexplicable exposures. What was built on stolen energy cannot sustain itself when truth enters the room. You may not realize it, but while they were parading in your essence, the universe was watching you. Watching how you responded, how you carried yourself through the betrayal, how you kept producing, how you didn't let bitterness contaminate your gift. Every act of restraint became evidence. Every time you chose dignity over drama, you raised your vibration above revenge. And that frequency aligned you with a far greater form of justice than you could have orchestrated alone. They thought your silence meant weakness, but it meant witness. Heaven was documenting what they did in secret. They thought your forgiveness meant forgetfulness, but it meant faith. You trusted divine timing even when you didn't understand it. You kept working in obscurity, nurturing your craft, perfecting your voice, refining your power. And now, when divine recompense arrives, it won't just restore what was taken, it will multiply it beyond recognition. Because that's how divine law works, it doesn't just repay, it overpays. Understand this deeply, your energy carries a signature. It cannot be duplicated without spiritual consequence. They can imitate your style, but not your substance. They can repeat your words, but not your frequency. They can mirror your reflection, but never your spirit. You were chosen because your energy is an original key to divine doors. Anyone who tries to use your key without authorization triggers the alarm of the cosmos. And that alarm has been ringing in the unseen. This is the season when the unseen will become seen. The things you couldn't prove before will begin to reveal themselves in undeniable ways. Screenshots will surface. Records will resurface. Conversations will be exposed. People who once applauded the imposter will begin to question inconsistencies. Their mask will begin to crack under the weight of truth. The very systems that once ignored you will start to notice you. Because the universe is rewriting the narrative, restoring ownership, credit, and recognition to the rightful source. You don't need to seek revenge, chosen one. You need only to continue walking in integrity. Divine law does not need your defense, it needs your alignment. Keep creating. Keep healing. Keep embodying the energy that was always yours. Because every time you return to authenticity, you weaken the counterfeit's hold. Every time you express your truth, you reclaim another piece of your stolen energy. Every time you forgive, you release yourself from the energetic contract of victimhood. And as you do, the karmic balance tips heavier in your favor. There will come a moment soon when you will feel a sudden shift, not just emotionally, but tangibly. Money that once slipped through your fingers will start to stay. Ideas that once felt blocked will begin to flow again. Opportunities that were diverted will reroute back toward you. This is the energetic evidence of justice unfolding. The wealth that became their comfort will transform into your compensation. The contracts they signed under false light will dissolve. The influence they gained through imitation will fade, and your authentic presence will begin to expand in visibility, credibility, and abundance. Do not underestimate what is happening in the unseen. The scales are no longer just balancing, they are tipping. Every ounce of energy they extracted from your life is being called back to source. Every blessing they intercepted is being rerouted to your name. Every profit they made from your blueprint is becoming a liability in their karmic records. Divine law does not erase, it reassigns. And what's being reassigned now is wealth, influence, opportunity, and recognition, all back to you. You are entering your reclaiming season, and you will recognize it by the way things begin to effortlessly align. People will start to mention your name in rooms where you were once erased. Platforms will begin to echo your authentic message, not the diluted copy. Collaborations and doors you once dreamed of will suddenly become invitations. And the very people who once ignored you will now be compelled to honor you. That's the divine reversal. That's the evidence of heavenly audit. So stand firm, chosen one. You are not crazy for feeling like something was stolen. You were not paranoid, you were perceptive. Your spirit was alert to what your mind couldn't yet prove. But now the proof is coming, and the repayment is near. The energy that was taken from you was never lost. It was merely stored, gathering interest in divine escrow. And now, the universe is transferring it back into your life with multiplied value. They will have to watch as what they built on false foundation begins to crumble. Not because you cursed them, but because truth cannot sustain illusion. You don't have to touch a single brick. The collapse will be self-initiated. Every lie will implode under its own weight. And as the dust settles, you will rise from the ashes, not bitter, but blessed beyond measure. Remember this, what they stole was temporary, but what you carry is eternal. They borrowed your essence, but you are the essence. They wore your light like a costume, but you are the source. They imitated your gift, but you are the origin. And now, heaven has ruled. Everything taken unlawfully must be returned with interest. So lift your head. Straighten your back. Let peace replace pain. Because while they were busy building with stolen bricks, you were being rebuilt by divine design. And the house the universe is building for you now, no one will ever occupy it again. You are the rightful owner. You are the divine original. And everything that was taken is already on its way home. They built their castle on stolen bricks. But the eviction notice has been served. They're about to pay rent for every single day they occupied what was yours. Chosen one, hear this with every fiber of your being. The structures that were built on your stolen foundation are beginning to tremble. The very walls that stood tall and proud, made from the bricks of your energy, your ideas, your labor, are now cracking. You can feel it in the spirit. Something is shifting. The eviction notice has gone out. The universe has stamped it, signed it, sealed it in divine ink, and no amount of denial, power, or manipulation can cancel it. They are being removed from the space that never truly belonged to them. They built their castle on your creativity, your essence, your frequency. While you were out in the cold wondering why nothing was working, they were inside your mansion pretending it was theirs. They rearranged your furniture, put their name on your door, and entertained guests with the illusion of ownership. They thought because they occupied it long enough, it became theirs. But in divine law, possession does not mean ownership. Occupancy without authorization is trespassing, and heaven has finally intervened. The spiritual eviction notice has been served, and the countdown has begun. Their comfort is turning into discomfort. Their abundance is turning into accountability. The same energy they used to rise is now the current that's pulling them down. Because what's not built on truth cannot endure. What's not earned in integrity cannot last. What's not aligned with divine order must collapse. Every brick they laid with deceit, every wall they built with manipulation, every room they decorated with stolen energy is being repossessed by the universe. For years you may have watched them expand while you endured contraction. You may have seen them celebrated while you were overlooked. You may have wondered why the universe allowed it, why those who took what was yours seemed to prosper without consequence. But you see, divine timing is not about speed, it's about sequence. The universe allowed them to build because it needed their hands to do the labor of constructing your inheritance. They didn't realize it, but they were workers in disguise. Every structure they built with your essence was never meant for them. It was being prepared for you. Now, as the eviction takes effect, the ownership is transferring. The title deed is changing hands. What they thought they could keep forever is being stripped away, piece by piece, day by day. Their names are being erased from what they claimed. The contracts they forged in deception are dissolving in divine fire. And as they fall, you will rise not through vengeance but through restoration. This eviction isn't just a metaphor, it's an energetic, spiritual, and physical realignment. The spiritual court has reviewed the evidence, and the verdict was clear. Return everything that was taken, with interest. Every lie told to secure advantage, every manipulation used to block your path, every opportunity they redirected to themselves, all of it is being repossessed. The universe doesn't allow permanent theft in divine timelines. Everything borrowed under falsehood must be repaid in truth. You'll start to see signs, small at first, then undeniable. Their influence will fade. Their confidence will crack. People will start distancing from them without knowing why. The same audience that once applauded them will begin to question their authenticity. Their foundation will shake, because it was never built on truth, it was built on you. And now that your energy has been recalled, the structure cannot stand. Think of it this way: they've been living in your house, eating at your table, sleeping in your bed, and enjoying comfort paid for by your pain. They never thanked you. They never acknowledged where it came from. But now, the landlord of the universe has arrived with divine papers. Time's up, it says. Payment is due. And this time, the rent will not be symbolic. It will be karmic, emotional, and material, multiplied in measure for every day they benefited from what belonged to you. The universe doesn't just remove them, it restores you. Every bit of energy they used to sustain their illusion is being returned to you tenfold. You'll notice your strength returning, your creativity reviving, your abundance unlocking. The places where you once felt blocked will begin to open. The exhaustion will lift. You'll start feeling your power again because the cords that drained you have been cut. The energy that once fed their success is now refueling your rise. Don't think you have to chase them down or prove anything. The eviction process is already in motion. Heaven is thorough. Every document, every energetic exchange, every false claim is being reviewed. They will pay rent for every day they enjoyed what you built. They will pay for every night they slept under your ceiling of blessings, for every morning they woke to sunlight that wasn't theirs. The rent will be heavy because divine rent includes interest. Interest for your lost years, your lost opportunities, your emotional exhaustion, your delayed dreams. And when that payment comes, it won't come as revenge, it will come as recompense. The universe doesn't humiliate, it balances. So as their illusions fade, your restoration will rise. You won't need to announce it. You won't need to explain it. The world will simply see the shift. One day, the light will shine differently. You'll stand where they once stood, not by taking their place but by reclaiming your own. And the world will recognize that you were the rightful owner all along. Understand something sacred. This eviction is not just happening around you. It's happening within you. The energy that once allowed access to parasites, manipulators, and thieves has been purged. The parts of you that tolerated being drained have been healed. The version of you that let others borrow your power without accountability no longer exists. You've become spiritually gated, divinely secured. No one will ever live rent-free in your energy again. This new season requires discernment. As the eviction unfolds, some may try to apologize, others may attempt to re-enter your life disguised as remorseful friends. Be kind, but stay guarded. Forgive them, but never reopen access. Because you are under divine protection now. Your boundaries are sacred property lines drawn by heaven itself. To trespass again would invite spiritual consequence too severe for any soul to endure. Watch how the tables turn. The same people who once underestimated you will start to fear the light of your vindication. The same ones who said you'd never rise will now witness your ascension. The same ones who mocked your patience will now marvel at your reward. You will not have to announce what's happening. Your life will become the announcement. Your peace will speak louder than their chaos. Your abundance will echo louder than their excuses. Chosen one, you are stepping into your rightful inheritance. The universe is repossessing everything that was stolen and placing it back in your hands. It's not just money, it's reputation, influence, purpose, legacy. You will hold what was once denied to you, and it will fit perfectly because it was designed for you all along. You will build again, but this time, no one will touch your foundation. This time, your walls will be guarded by wisdom. This time, your castle will stand on truth. They built their illusion with stolen bricks. But illusions are fragile. Truth is eternal. The eviction notice has been served, and the clock is ticking. The sound you hear, those cracks, that crumble, is not destruction, it's justice. The universe is repossessing your blessings, one stone at a time. And soon, when the dust settles, you'll see it clearly. Their castle was never theirs. It was always yours. They were merely tenants of your brilliance. And now, they're paying rent. For every single day they occupied what was destined to belong only to you. You are the landlord of your own light. And the era of unpaid occupancy is over. You thought this detox was about your health, your habits, your healing. But it was a disguise. The universe was removing every version of you that thieves could access. Chosen one, you believed you were just cleansing your body, breaking a few habits, releasing what no longer served you. You thought this detox was about physical renewal, emotional healing, or mental clarity. But what you didn't realize was that this detox was never just about diet, discipline, or routine. It was a sacred disguise, a divine operation happening beneath the surface. The universe was not just healing you, it was hiding you. Not just refining your habits, but removing your access points. Every version of you that was easy to drain, easy to manipulate, easy to guilt, gone. Every frequency you once vibrated on that allowed parasites, narcissists, or false friends to find you, erased. The detox wasn't about losing toxins from your bloodstream. It was about purging frequencies that no longer aligned with your evolution. You see, the universe doesn't always announce its strategy. It disguises transformation as ordinary change. You thought you were simply tired of chaos, unhealthy patterns, certain foods, or draining people. But what you were really feeling was divine interference. A cosmic shutdown of everything and everyone that could no longer accompany your next level. There were versions of you that tolerated smallness. Versions that over-explained. Versions that tried to be kind to the undeserving. Versions that were addicted to being needed. versions that mistook attachment for loyalty, versions that confused pain for love. The detox came to dismantle them, one habit, one craving, one emotional reflex at a time. When you started withdrawing from certain people, you thought it was social exhaustion. When you lost interest in your old routines, you thought it was burnout. When you began craving solitude, you thought it was sadness. But it wasn't. It was the universe isolating the purest part of you, the part that could no longer be accessed by thieves wearing masks of familiarity. Thieves don't always come for your money. They come for your energy, your attention, your frequency. They come disguised as concerned friends, well-meaning mentors, or soul connections. They come smiling, but every interaction leaves you drained. They harvest your light, and then leave you wondering why you feel empty after giving love. The detox was designed to make sure they never find the new you again. You began to notice it, how old conversations started feeling foreign, how gossip felt like poison, how meaningless entertainment suddenly irritated your spirit. You couldn't force yourself to engage anymore. That wasn't boredom, that was spiritual evolution. Your vibration was rising, and the universe was gently closing doors behind you. Every disinterest, every distance, every detachment was protection in motion. It's why some friendships fell apart without explanation. Why certain relationships began to feel heavy. Why you couldn't fake enthusiasm for what used to excite you. Because you were outgrowing the frequencies that kept you visible to the wrong souls. The universe had to make you invisible to parasites, and it did so through detox. It wasn't punishment, it was preservation. The universe said, let's strip away everything that connects them to low vibration, substances, distractions, toxic bonds, false validation, so that their essence becomes untraceable to those who fed off their light. You became untaggable, energetically encrypted. The old you was being deleted from their memory, from their reach, from their dimension of influence. That's why your silence became sacred. You weren't withdrawing, you were being concealed. You weren't isolated, you were being upgraded. Every craving you lost, every appetite that shifted, every habit that died, it wasn't random. The universe was recalibrating you for spiritual privacy. You were being purified until your frequency became incompatible with manipulation. Think back to when it began. Maybe it started small. You couldn't tolerate certain foods anymore. Your body rejected sugar, caffeine, or chemicals that once gave you comfort. You thought it was discipline, but it was divine intelligence cleansing your vessel so it could hold higher energy. Then came the emotional purge, crying without reason, waves of sadness, vivid dreams of people from your past. That was your soul releasing residue. It wasn't depression, it was detoxification of memory. Then came the mental reset, a sudden clarity, a sense that what once mattered no longer did. You began seeing patterns, who drained you, who distracted you, who disguised their envy as advice. That clarity was spiritual sight returning after years of interference. The detox was rewriting your internal codes so thieves could no longer access your mind or emotions. You see, before every elevation, there is an exodus. The universe had to lead you out of the Egypt of your old self, the self that tolerated crumbs, that overgave, that over-apologized. And just like the Israelites were told to leave behind what wasn't meant for the promised land, you too were asked to let go. The detox was your Red Sea moment. You crossed it, and now, the waves have closed behind you. No thief can follow you into this new timeline. Those who once drained you will start saying, "You've changed." And they'll be right. You've changed frequencies. They can't reach your signal anymore. They'll call your name, but it won't echo back. They'll try to engage you, but your energy won't respond. You're no longer nourished by the same environments. You're breathing higher air. What once resonated with your wounds now repels your wisdom. What once comforted your pain now conflicts with your peace. You are no longer a match for chaos, and chaos knows it. That's why some people suddenly vanished. That's why opportunities that once tempted you no longer attract you. You've been upgraded to a vibration where only authenticity survives. And though it may have felt lonely at times, understand this: detox always feels like dying before it feels like rebirth. The silence, the stillness, the separation, it was never emptiness. It was sacred reconfiguration. You were being taught how to exist without dependence on toxic energies. You were being positioned for clarity so that when new blessings arrive, you won't sabotage them out of old survival habits. The universe had to remove access to the versions of you that didn't know how to say no. The ones who thought love meant overextending. The ones who accepted guilt as a form of loyalty. Those versions served their purpose, but they couldn't go where you're going. The detox wasn't about loss, it was about sovereignty. Now your energy is protected by wisdom. Your peace is guarded by discernment. You no longer confuse attachment for connection. You no longer need validation to feel valuable. You no longer apologize for your boundaries. You've been purified, not to be perfect, but to be precise. You are now a match for divine partnerships, aligned opportunities, and sustainable abundance. When people from your past try to return, it won't feel the same. You'll look at them and realize you've outgrown the entire vibration they represent. You won't hate them, you'll simply recognize the misalignment. Your compassion will remain, but your access will be restricted. Because true healing doesn't mean allowing old energy to re-enter. It means blessing it, releasing it, and rising beyond it. And as this realization settles in, you'll understand, this was never just a detox. It was a divine encryption process. The universe hid you in plain sight. It disguised your ascension as discipline, your protection as detachment, your rebirth as rest. And now, as you emerge purified and precise, you'll notice how much quieter your world feels, and how much clearer your path becomes. The thieves can't find you anymore. The energy vampires can't locate your frequency. The manipulators can't decode your peace. You've become spiritually invisible to those who once fed on your light. The detox was never about food, habits, or routines. It was about sovereignty. About erasing every version of you that could be drained, deceived, or diminished. The universe was never taking from you. It was returning you to yourself. And now, chosen one, as you stand here renewed, the air around you feels lighter because your energy no longer carries the weight of who you used to be. You are no longer detoxing, you are delivered. You are unreachable to those who live off theft. You are visible only to those who live in truth. And from this moment on, only light can find you. Someone in your circle mirrored you. They copied your methods, your art, your words. They wore your light like a costume. Chosen one, this part will sting, because it hits close to the soul. The betrayal didn't come from strangers in the distance. It came from hands you once held, voices you once trusted, faces that smiled in your direction. Someone in your circle studied you like a manual. They watched the way you spoke, how you created, how you healed, how you loved. They didn't just admire your light. They measured it, mimicked it, and molded themselves in its image. They mirrored your essence so precisely that others began to confuse imitation for authenticity. They presented your gifts as if they were their own, your language, your rhythm, your frequency, your sacred codes. And at first, you couldn't see it clearly. You brushed off the uneasy feeling. You told yourself you were overthinking, that inspiration overlaps, that maybe it was a coincidence. But deep down, your spirit knew. There was a subtle discomfort every time they spoke your truth with their tongue. Every time they presented your soul as their invention. You didn't realize it then, but you were dealing with an energetic shapeshifter, someone who didn't just steal your ideas, but your identity frequency. They wanted your results without your refinement. They wanted your anointing without your sacrifice. They wanted your recognition without your rebirth. They saw your light and thought it was a costume they could wear. But what they didn't understand was that your light was never a look, it was a lineage. You earned your radiance through pain, perseverance, and prayer. You were forged in nights that felt endless, in storms that no one saw. You bled wisdom through heartbreak and built strength out of silence. What you embody isn't imitation, it's incarnation. And that's something they'll never replicate, no matter how well they copy the surface. They mimicked your mannerisms, used your phrases, borrowed your essence. Maybe they launched something that looked eerily similar to your dream, or began speaking messages that sounded like echoes of your soul. Perhaps they created art that carried your fingerprint, or turned your spiritual insights into their profit. And while you questioned yourself, they prospered, for a while. But you must understand, every counterfeit success comes with an expiration date. The universe allows illusions for a time, not as injustice, but as evidence. It lets them build their house of mirrors so that when the truth arrives, the collapse is public, poetic, and precise. The person who mirrored you thought that wearing your light would give them your destiny. What they didn't know is that the light you carry isn't just energy, it's responsibility. It's a sacred assignment that requires alignment, not imitation. And no one can fake divine alignment. They watched you rise from nothing and mistook your humility for weakness. They thought your silence meant obliviousness. They thought your grace meant permission. But your spirit was documenting everything, the lies, the mimicry, the subtle theft. Heaven was taking notes. There is a spiritual courtroom that records not just actions, but intentions. They may have fooled people, but they didn't fool Source. And so, the energy they stole has begun to decay in their hands. You've noticed it, haven't you? The way their aura feels off now. The way their influence flickers. The way their confidence feels forced. Because light borrowed through deception always burns the borrower. Every lie they used to sustain themselves now demands repayment. Every idea they stole has become too heavy to carry. The very essence they tried to embody is rejecting them, because it doesn't belong to them. When you noticed their imitation, you felt conflicted. Part of you wanted to expose them, to shout the truth. Another part of you felt pity. You realized they weren't evil, they were empty. You saw how desperate they were to feel significant, how disconnected they were from their own soul. And so, you stayed quiet. You let the universe handle what the ego wanted to avenge. You chose alignment over argument. And that silence became your strength. Because you understood, what they took was never the source, only the reflection. They copied your outer form, but they couldn't reproduce the inner fire. They could mimic your voice, but not your vibration. They could wear your colors, but not your calling. You are the original frequency, the blueprint. And no copy ever outlives the source. They wanted your platform, not your process. They wanted your glory, not your grief. They wanted your harvest, not your hardship. But every seed you sowed came with a specific spiritual signature, and only your energy could unlock its full potential. So when they planted what they stole, it refused to bloom. The soil rejected the impostor's touch. The roots refused to take hold. Because destiny knows its owner. And now, as the tides turn, you'll begin to see it, the unraveling. Their borrowed brilliance will dim. Their facade will fracture. Opportunities will begin to slip through their fingers like sand. Why? Because the energy that sustained their illusion is returning home. You will feel a shift, almost imperceptible at first, a weight lifting, an unseen restoration. You'll notice your creativity flowing again, your ideas multiplying, your clarity deepening. The power that was siphoned is being recalibrated back to its rightful source, you. You may even receive literal signs, dreams, déjà vu, or divine messages, confirming that justice is in motion. The same system that once favored imitation is now awakening to authenticity. The spiritual court has ruled, and the verdict is being delivered through alignment. Everything stolen will either return or crumble. And those who built their identity on your light will have to confront the void that imitation can no longer fill. The universe is meticulous about balance. It's not just about money or recognition, it's about energy integrity. What was borrowed through deception must be restored through revelation.